Hello, my name is Kristen Richmond. I'm the Volunteer Engagement Manager with 365 Health. I just want to start off by saying thank you for volunteering. Community health fairs really are an amazing preventive health resource, so you giving back to your community means a lot. So today I'm explaining the volunteer registration position. If you've signed up for this position, typically it takes place, volunteers get to the health fair about an hour before. So we want to make sure the registration volunteers are there a little bit earlier. That way they can set up and feel ready to go once the rush of volunteers checking in for their positions for the day arrive. So when you get to your table, the health fair team should have it set up like so. You'll have a station sign behind you or attached to the table. T-shirts should be laid out by size typically. So if you come and your health fair team hasn't gotten that done quite yet, please feel free to find the t-shirts and set them out by size. That way you feel prepared and ready to go to check in volunteers. Every volunteer is getting a t-shirt, so maybe they volunteered last fall or a previous season and they already have a t-shirt, they could be coming with it. But if they don't have one, we want to make sure everyone gets one. So that should be the first step when you're checking in volunteers. Get them a t-shirt, point them to the restrooms, that way they can change, come back and finish the check-in process. So once they have their t-shirts, we want to make sure that they get a 365 Health name tag. Every volunteer throughout the whole health fair should have one of these name tags. That way participants feel comfortable using their name and interacting with them, and it's a good indicator, in addition to the t-shirt, that you all are volunteers and ready to step in and help. So you should have a Sharpie at the table so volunteers can write it. If it's a huge health fair, if you're expecting a lot of participants, if you have a lot of health fairs or a lot of volunteers, it's good for more than one person to be here, more than one Sharpie, more than one pen at this table. So if you get there and you're not seeing that, please find a 365 Health staff member or one of the planning coordinators for that particular health fair. So once they have their t-shirt and their name tag, we want to make sure to check them off the volunteer list. So the planning team should have a printed out list of all the volunteers that are helping today. So get their name, you can simply check them off. If they have a protocol here, go ahead and hand them the protocol. Otherwise, many of the protocols are at the screening stations and at the non-medical stations as well. If volunteers are not on this list that's printed out, it's probably because they didn't sign up through the volunteer website. If they did not sign up through the volunteer website, we have a volunteer registration form. So we want to make sure that they read this commitment and values. It just basically states they're going to act in good standing and follow kind of all the guidelines that we place for volunteers, so that way everyone, whether it's participants or other volunteers, are having a good experience while they're at the health fair. And then there's just a little bit of information that we want them to fill out. These are double-sided, so make sure you're turning it over once you see the front is completely full. And then there should be multiple copies of this, so definitely switch to new pages when it's necessary. If you're running out, reach out to the planning team for your health fair and they will be able to get you additional copies of this paper. The final step is any giveaways, any volunteer giveaways that we've given to the site. So one of the most coveted volunteer giveaways, this is really tiny so you can't quite see it, but it's a little lapel pin. So historically we've had cute little 9s back when the community knew us as 9 Health Fair. Now that we're 365 Health, we have these like little small ones, but they still have the year. So very coveted pins, so make sure all the volunteers get one. And then sometimes we have other giveaways that volunteers can have as well. Another important aspect of the volunteer who runs volunteer registration is letting other volunteers know about important timing aspects. So oftentimes there's a specific time we want all volunteers to meet in one area, or a specific time they need to be at their stations for training, because there is a volunteer break room. So make sure you're relaying this information to the volunteers as you check them in, and also make sure you're pointing out the restrooms and where their volunteer break room is. That way volunteers can come and relax and eat some breakfast. before they head out and fulfill their volunteer duties for the day. So that is it. Thank you again for volunteering.